early, especially since Fnatic have banned away the Kalista in the majority of their games here as well. And the Aatrox's gone now. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't that Kalista last ban here for Fnatic.
I feel like red side Aatrox ban is going to become more and more common with how often teams are willing to pick it first side on blue. It's just one of those no-brainers at this point. So there is the Kalista ban taken away by Beyond. Final ban of this first half is the Amumu. So Amumu, Aatrox, Hecarim banned from Fnatic. Victor, LeBlanc, and Kalista banned by Beyond. What will the first pick be?
So I wouldn't be surprised to see a Sylas locked in here, or maybe even the Graves that's been left open as well. I think Graves still has a really strong spot, but Minji has actually looked great on the Sylas. It looks like that's what they're going to go for here.
Love to see it. Love to see it. Sylas is one of those champions where, depending on his strength, you know, sometimes you need to see a good ultimate to steal before you lock him in. But when the priority goes up enough, when he's strong enough, when you know how this game is likely to go, they're not afraid to throw that down immediately. Maokai and Akali, the response.
And I was about to say, you know, two decent ultimates there for the Sylas to steal away, but Akali has kind of been the answer to the Sylas, at least at World so far. But it has been a bit of a mixed bag. And we'll have to see if Humanoid can try and power that through in the laning prowess, especially when you got the Maokai there alongside him. Should be able to try and set up for a decent mid jungle, but the Sejuani here, you've got the Sylas mid, now you add another melee top. Topside skirmishing is going to be insanely strong for Beyond.
Oh, absolutely, and we're seeing kind of similar drafts here so far. We got these mid lane, like, AP type of assassins. Sylas a bit more of a bruiser, but then a couple of meatballs on either side as well. Both of these sides going to get a little scrappy here as Kai'Sa is locked in for Beyond. Kai'Sa plus 2 melee champions. This is looking like a torpedo comp to me.
Yeah, definitely is, and especially like this is just going to be full short range, which honestly works out pretty well for something like the Maokai. Now I do want to, I was about to say, throw up the caveat, Maokai was played by Hilly in that support role, and it looks like that might be the same story that we're going to see here. It looks like Razork is going to grab the Graves, which works out super well against something like the Sejuani. Sejuani likes where she can have a little bit of an easier time in the jungle, won't get invaded, won't get her camp stolen away, but that's exactly what Graves wants to try and do.
Graves also incredibly good at setting a high pace, a high tempo in the jungle. You got to be able to keep up with them, so accelerating that game forward and keeping some safety, some priority there for something like an Akali that likes to have a little bit of time to scale up is always nice. Second half of the bans, let's see what it'll be. Gnar banned out by Fnatic, Beyond banning out Caitlyn. We do not have mirrored drafts on either side. There's only an AD carry drafted for Beyond. Fnatic still has to get theirs, so I'm not surprised to see Beyond targeting that marksman.
Yeah, and I think, look, I like the Gnar ban. I'm curious to see what Renekton is going to happen with here, because I feel like when you have such a short-range composition on Fnatic's side, and you want to try and play through like your 3 melee tops on the top side, something like this Renekton just does incredibly well here. If like our Lee K wants to try and go towards that, even just being able to have that dive set up alongside something like the Kai'Sa, just everyone go in, I feel like it works super well here for Beyond.
All right, what's that final ban going to be here for Beyond? Fiora was taken off the table by Fnatic. Beyond, they're taking their time with it, really thinking about it. Misfortune banned away, another champion we've seen plenty of, generally does very well in those AoE team fight focused comps, but they're not going to get it this time around. Fnatic, what is the choice here in the marksman position? I expect that to be the pick here on 4th, and they saved that last pick to see what the entirety of Beyond's draft will be.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the Aphelios. Has a decent matchup into the Kai'Sa as well. And I think if you want to go for something like the Ornn here for Wunder, set up just really beefy front line. You got 2 great AD carries in the back with the Graves and the Aphelios, and just Humanoid kind of playing a bit of a nuisance in the back line. It could work super well. But again, I think for Lee K here, something like a Renekton could do great if you want to try and go towards that. I would imagine something like a Nautilus or Leona probably going to be the pick here for Aquino, just something that can immediately jump onto that Aphelios.
Whoa, we got some Jacks locked in for Beyond and for Lakai going up against Wunder, willing to throw down that gauntlet and say, all right, let's see what you got here in the top lane.
It does give a lot of side lane prowess to them as well, so especially if Minji and Usha can get involved in that mid lane early, set up Minji where he's got a bit of an advantage over Humanoid, there's a chance then that you can actually start to play through these side lanes, because Fiora's gone, Aatrox's gone, there's not a huge amount of things that kind of match that prowess of the Jacks in that top side.
And Nautilus, the final pick here for Beyond. So it's pretty much what I was expecting when I see the Kai'Sa picked. Everybody on this team wants to go in. They got one direction they can move, and it's forward.
Also, just a great color scheme. Nice and blue.
We got shades of purple and blue.
Just jump in, get on top of people, make upsets life uncomfortable. That's why I love things like the Nautilus here, because it's just that go button, right, that everyone else can follow alongside. And then Wunder, I actually like that they pivoted from the Ornn that I was talking about into the Gragas, because you just said, hey, everyone jump into the party. Well, Gragas is like, no, get out of here.
I actually love that as the last pick of the draft for Fnatic. It seems like such a good use of red side pick 5 to get such a disruptive champion for melee opponents into a comp that really just wants to dive in.
There's so much counter engage as well, right? The Gragas, you got the Maokai ultimate, like it's so many ways to try and deal with everyone that's trying to get in on top of you, and that also opens up Humanoid if he's able to find these flank opportunities to go for these plays. So I'm super excited to see how this one back's out, because it feels like whichever team gets that early lead is going to have a much easier time throughout the rest of this game.
And as we're about to load in, remember the stakes are huge for this one. A win for Fnatic guarantees them first or second in the group, which means you either get a free ticket out or you at least avoid playing the stronger opponent from the other side, which most people are predicting to be RNG, so that's a big bullet to dodge. But for Beyond, if you win here, all of a sudden you're tied with Fnatic in the standings, and things are going to get very wild very quickly.
Yeah, and exactly for Beyond, that's what they're trying to push forward, trying to see if they can move on with their PCS brethrens, with Flying Oyster in the actual group stage, but it is going to be a tough one. Beyond been a little bit messy in some of their games. It hasn't been as clean, but I mean, if you're looking at transitive properties, right? Okay. Loud beat Fnatic, and then you look at Beyond beat Loud. So therefore, through transitive properties,
Beyond should have the answer.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see if they can do it. Fnatic really wanting to bounce back after, I think, what was a surprise for a vast majority of fans yesterday, dropping the game to Loud. Fnatic was looking really good before that, right? Like, they showed up on day one where they had a substitute support. They were like, all right, we're going to rock this. Let's go. They're looking like #1 team. And then Brazil just roars to life and takes them out. So today's competition is going to be very fun, my friend.
And I think Brunse kind of said it, right? Bot diff with the elf was pretty sick. But honestly, I think Seos had an incredible performance on the Amumu. The Loud have kind of gone for this Amumu misfortune combo over and over again, and unfortunately Fnatic just fell afoul of it, right? So now we'll have to see if they can find a little bit more ease of action in these team fights, where they're not just ending up against this massive big wombo combo. Still a very aggressive team coming through from Beyond Gaming, but something that should give Upset a little bit more breathing room when it actually comes to team fights.
And even when we looked afterwards at the outcome of that game and we were interviewing Yamato, talking to him about Fnatic's performance yesterday, he was like, look, this is just the result. When you play bad, that you're going to have bad results. Those weren't the exact words, but I can't repeat the exact words here on this part of the show. But he got into the fact, he was like, hey, this is what no practice looks like. We didn't play well. We had a bad game. Their heads are in the right space. They know they goofed up. But the nice part is their performance before that was so good that they still have an opportunity to make this group their own with their own play, and that's what they're going to try to do here in this one. We are on to the Rift, my friends. Beyond in the blue, Fnatic in the red, runes popping up on your screen right now. All 4 of our solo laners having teleport, both of our 80 carries taking cleanse.
Yeah, nothing particularly crazy coming through in the runes. I mean, Wunder going for that phase rush is just super nice for trying to avoid any sort of all-in potential that Lee K is going to try and go for. You just bop him, throw down the cask, and walk away with the extra speed up. But across the board, still be looking at, Beyond should have decent push in the top side in their mid lane as well, especially if Husha can try and get in. And it feels like a huge amount of this early stages is going to rely on Husha. Like, the rookie of the split in 2021, this was the man that a lot of people are talking about who had to step up for Beyond Gaming, and this game is going to be no different.
And Fnatic, you know how they love to enable Razork as well. They like to let this guy take over the jungle, get some priority in the lanes, let him invade and support him. So I'm hoping we get some scrappiness nice and early here, not just some full clears.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Razork's Poppy still gives me nightmares. Like, that was absolutely insane in playoffs. The man was a man with the mission in mind, and he executed brilliantly. So we'll have to see now if you can do the same on the Graves, right? Getting as invades, as you say, trying to get into the face of Husha, who I feel like expected to be up against the Maokai, and then Fnatic pulled a bit of a tricksy on him.
Exactly. You got to be careful around that Graves, especially when you're just playing a tank jungler. He's going to win those duels every single time unless something goes egregiously wrong. But both of our junglers are starting on their own red buffs. You can see Razork stepping back to clear the Krugs, wants to make sure he's getting the full clear on that one, cycling the camps a little bit more efficiently, whereas Husha not having quite as good of a clear on the Sejuani. He's just going to move straight up towards his blue quadrant, make it so he can get out on the map a little bit faster.
Yeah, and I like this because in theory you should have push coming through from Jax. He can always come in and support you. And again, just the skirmishing power that you have on this top side with the triple melee for the Sejuani is obnoxious to deal with. So I think we'll definitely see Razork, as you look at it now, trying to lean more down towards this bottom side of the map where he won't have to struggle as heavily with that. But there you can see DK getting some good trades against Wunder in this top side.
Yep, he's just beating him around with the stick here a little bit early on. Wunder will be happy to step back. Of course, with the Gragas, you have so much AoE in the kit, it's very easy to thin out these waves as time passes forward. So even if Likai takes the control over the wave nice and early, shouldn't be that big of a deal right now. Looking across the board, there's no huge leads showing up anywhere just yet, as that's one of the interesting parts of this matchup. Gragas' body slam overrides almost every other movement ability in the game, so you can always stop other people from hitting you with it.
Yeah, he's got the biggest of bellies, and he makes full use of that, but might need a little bit more help here, because it looks like Beyond trying to set up for some sort of play on top side. Pushing mid, though, means it will be incredibly dangerous, and looks like Husha is just going to back away, make sure that Likai instead can just crash this wave.
Exactly. Looked like he was just on Razork detection duty there, making sure his Jax wasn't about to end up as the victim of a gank. He'll move down into the top side river to take that Scuttle Crab. You can see the second Scuttle Crab hasn't been attempted yet because Razork cleared more camps. He did clear the Krugs, like I mentioned earlier, so slightly slower getting to the Crab, but he is ahead overall, and now he'll clear this one out, no problem.
Graves going for a full clear.
I can't imagine. I cannot imagine a Graves player.
But here we go, Razork trying to get in the middle here, just seeing if he can spot out exactly where Hush has gone for. Husha did, in fact, go back down towards this Krug, so will spot out Razork, because maybe he goes over the wall, but actually just gonna reset here after getting that ward up with the Raptors.
Yeah, it feels a little risky to go around looking for the Krugs. Sejuani might not be a good fighter, but she's excellent at locking you down, and you know the bottom lane wouldn't be shy about getting in the mix too if that broke out. I like him just backing off, takes the purchase, goes home, grabs a couple of long swords and a control ward, and he'll be right back out. That ward on the Raptor pit, I think, was also really important. He knows those timings. They'll be able to keep track of Husha a little bit better there as well.
And that's the big one, right? You're looking at Humanoid having push in mid. You've got push on bot side for Upset and Hilly as well. So what you're trying to set up here for Razork is, look, I'm going to try and take out some of these camps on top side and then immediately use the push on bot side. But having spotted Husha here, looks like he might just try and get in and steal away any camp he can find. But right now, Fnatic are doing a really good job of tracking where Husha is, and that's just kind of the best form of attack for them right now. If Husha isn't getting into these lanes and interacting with them, we can just have Humanoid and Upset keep playing through their advantages.
Razork's gonna make a trip up to the top side. Wunder's got no mana to set him up, so Likai can just jump away very easily. But I do want to point out a minor thing there. As we saw Razork invade the enemy jungle, set down a control ward, he did not shoot the Scryer's plant. He shoots it now, because if he would have shot it earlier, they would have been able to see that on Beyond side. They would have known he was nearby. He would have foiled his own gank somewhat. So I like the fact that he had the patience, not setting that off until a little bit later, but now he heads back into his own jungle. Sejuani's back up here. He doesn't want anything to do with it anymore.
Nah, just going to back it on out, go back to clearing his camps and making sure he's all good and dandy. But again, like, this is going to be fine for Fnatic. They just want to make sure that Husha isn't doing anything too crazy on the map. Like, he can look at the bot side, right? Upset, getting a nice little CS lead for himself, continuously just pushing the wave alongside Hylissang. They're going to be okay to just keep going, because Kino and Wako can't try and go that ham in the lane, because the second they try and go in, Hilly can lock you up. They've got good disengage, you buy space for Upset, and suddenly that becomes a very different story in that bottom lane.
Yeah, those fights can be really scary, especially against Aphelios. I mean, obviously the champions had lots of memes about him, but hold on now. Humanoid and Minji getting into a bit of a scrap. Minji with a stolen ulti. Humanoid's trying to run away. A little bit more damage. And Minji with a solo kill on Humanoid to open the game.
Minji stepping up big there. Humanoid takes that little bit too far of a step underneath the tower, and Minji turns it around. A player that's had to step up big for Beyond. A lot of doubts were tossed his way, but kind of silencing both them and Humanoid right now.
Now, it is important. He had to go underneath the turret. The turret damage makes it a 1-for-1, so it's not as bad as it could have been for Fnatic, but that's a big confidence booster if nothing else. Humanoid has been one of the showstoppers here for Fnatic. This has been a guy that can pop off. Kino now in a bit of trouble down here underneath the tier 1 turret. Razork, no level 6, so we can't just try to snipe this Nautilus down. Oh, that dredge line. If that was just a couple of pixels closer, that could have lollipopped and hit him, and they might have had something way different going on.
Yeah, it looks like Fnatic are just going to back away. Wasn't sure how aggressive they wanted to go with Humanoid having push in mid, but instead, Razork going to be happy to just steal away the camps. Kino did the job he needed to, though. froze the wave there, means that Wako can catch the majority of that wave, not fall further behind, and he'll just go for a reset himself now. But Razork is still hovering around Minji.
Yep, Razork hovering here, stealing away those Raptors, makes it very easy for Humanoid to trade aggressively here because he knows the only way Minji can kill him is with an all-in, and if you do that with Graves right there, well, good night, sayonara, see you later. That's not going to go too well. So Minji, underneath the turret here yet again. Let's take another look at how this first blood happened.
This was just really well played by Minji. So you can see Humanoid tries to go aggressive, ends up landing the shuriken flip, but the second he does, Minji actually goes back underneath this turret with his own dash and just catches Humanoid on the edge of turret range. Already has the perfect execution stolen, so manages to just follow up and chase him down underneath the turret.
And I like how he waited for Humanoid to flash first because he didn't want to give him the chance to outplay there against the stolen perfect execution number 2. Had the patience, had the execution. Well done from Minji there. Back up here on the top side, things are pretty much the way they've been the entire game. Gragas and Jax just farming back and forth. About a 1-wave lead here for Wonder, so has been able to collect a couple more minions there, just building those modest advantages. And I think that's one of the reasons why when we look at the gold up here in the top, despite tied kills, it is a decent little lead for FNC.
Yeah, and a lot of that is going to be this bot side as well. And the reason we're not seeing Beyond try and overcommit resources to this top side is Upset has a great freeze here. So he's only just creating this slow break here. So you can see that the Nautilus had to start to teeter down to this bot side. Kino wasn't sure if he needed to help break that with Wako. But it looks like Wako's kind of said, no, they've started this slow push out. I'll be fine. Go take the Rift Herald and make sure that we can actually get some gold back in the favor. I think they need to use this bot side though, because, I mean, look at the 22 CS lead essentially that's opening up here in this bottom side.
And it's not like that's 22 CS lead on an early game champion. Minji, though, this could be bad. Remember that. Oh, no. Hush's ulti goes wide and Humanoid goes in. Fnatic's mid laner gets revenge as Hylissang goes in on the bottom side, finds a bit of damage here, has to walk back away. Nicely played from Fnatic.
Good turnaround, and again, just getting more gold for them. So even though you end up with a little bit of an advantage coming through with the Rift Herald, the plates are going down for Upset in the spot side. They're getting kills. Razork again is getting in and stealing away so much of Hush's camps as well. I mean, Fnatic, they're controlling this early game so well.
Yeah, nearly a 2,000 gold lead just 9 minutes in. Feels great for these guys. You saw them commit the ults bottom for the plates, and here's what happened to Minji. They knew he didn't have a flash from the fight earlier.
Yeah, just spotted on the edge there. Razor comes around, and I mean, it's a good attempt from Minji, thinking that, look, we've got the Sejuani here, we can actually try and turn this, but doesn't realize that Razork is there. And splitting the uprights here for Husha is heartbreaking for Minji.
The Graves ulti flew out, but they didn't even need it. That Silas was toast, man. Nicely done from Fnatic. Like I said, the bottom lane, they gave up the ultis to force the plate because, again, going back to what you're talking about, they know that Beyond isn't committing a ton of resources down here. They're not coming down here. Just spin the ults, grab the plate, get the money, whatever. You should be ready by the time a fight breaks out.
This is scary.
But that may not be the case. Beyond may look to force something, knowing those ultimates aren't available. Humanoid just gets dove. Humanoid just gets killed, and Beyond just get it done.
Fantastic read from Beyond. Look at the right-hand side of your screen. No Razork ult, no Humanoid ult, Upset, Hilly, everyone is out of their ultimates, whereas Beyond had theirs fully locked and loaded. So Beyond just called the bluff, say, come on, Fnatic, you might have the lead, but we have more in the tank.
I love the fact that they went for it. I love the fact that they punished Fnatic there. Now they're thinking about fighting again. I don't know if I love this one. Kino's gonna try to get away. 200 HP left. Upset locks him down. Upset guns him down. Minji's coming in with a stolen Akali ulti, but they won't find a damn thing. Razork forces the flash out of Wako as Husha tries to peel over the wall. Wako wants to get away. The ulti nearly kills him, but not quite yet. Minji jumps in. Hilly's been baited. Hilly's been deleted. Minji goes right back over the wall looking for number 2. Razork wants to fight him off. Upset's coming in, but Upset won't save anybody. Double kill over to the Beyond mid laner, and he wants a triple. He goes in for the Kingslayer. He's finding them spells left, right, and center. Fnatic still trying to get their AD carry out of trouble, but it won't happen. Minji is a man on a mission.
And Wonder TP down as well. That means that Jax in the top lane is just going to start tunking his way through this topside turret. And overall, Beyond Gaming wake up finally in this game. These early skirmishes that we talked about paying dividends for the PCS representatives.
This one is a roller coaster, man. Fnatic was up 2,000 gold. Beyond punished them. Then it looks like they get greedy, but oh no, they were just baiting the trap. Humanoid wanting to walk away again, dodges the dredge line. Nicely done. But Beyond are showing this is not just going to be an easy game for Fnatic.
Hilly wants to make sure the Lee K can't get as much out of this, though. Upset here, Razork here, the Jax could be in trouble.
All right, just gonna walk off. Nobody else is close enough. Nobody else is close. That's a level 6 tree with a pair of shoes. He does not want any alone time with Jax.
Still, though, this is fantastic here for Beyond, right? They get the Dragon off of this, and the fact that Fnatic chase so desperately for Wako just opens up brilliantly for Minji. Minji, look, very late on this play, don't get me wrong. So they do end up losing Kino, but they end up chasing Wako directly into where Minji can just hop over the wall, and it's so well played by them just to base Fnatic into overextending. Pusha hitting over the wall as well means that they're able to set up beautifully, and Minji, with access to the perfect execution, he has so much mobility in this case. He's able to follow Razork easily, finishing off this kill as well. Top side, we got the plays.
Oh boy, we got the Rift-Herald summon up. You said you wanted to see it bottom side. Well, Beyond wants to drop it top. They're looking to accelerate this Jax even further. They're only going to get the 2 guaranteed plates. Jax's Counter-Strike very good at avoiding some of that extra damage that would have been flying in from upset. Still a gold lead for Fnatic, but Beyond still have the advantage in kills. Not completely disengaging this one just yet, just making sure that Lakai is able to get himself back and get that reset.
Look, sharing is caring, but sometimes you should just focus someone, because DK, Wako, Husha, and Kino all got hands in those plates, so not a huge amount of gold distributed onto one person, but it does mean Wako and Kino still up here facing off against Upset and Hilly. No towers taken for Beyond just yet, despite the Rift Herald. I mean, in 2 minutes' time, we're going to have another fight, it feels like, in and around this Herald, and we'll have to see if Beyond will be able to take advantage of that one once more.
Yep, I fully expect it to be a fight over those neutral objectives. The game state is still pretty close, but Fnatic still keep finding these gold leads through their superior farming. It is a 35 CS lead in the AD carry role. It is a 20 CS lead in mid. It is 25 in the jungle. And even the Jax that was getting free firing time because of Wonder's teleport is down 25 CS. Fnatic is just farming way, way better.
And this is where we need to see Fnatic just recognizing that they have these leads and making sure they're playing as a team coming into these objectives, because the last fight that they lost was we don't have ultimates, we're leaving Humanoid isolated, we're giving the opportunities for Beyond to come in. Then they end up over chasing Beyond as well, so coming in with a bit more of a level head, taking these fights a little bit slower is going to play into Fnatic's hand, especially when you're starting to see mythics picked up across the board for them right now. They are in prime position for the Dragon in a minute's time, for the Rift Herald that's just about to spawn as well.
Exactly. As long as Fnatic don't get too cocky, you would expect them to have an edge getting into the mid portion of the game. It's one of the things that they were talking about on the show yesterday. When you have major regions going up against smaller regions, normally, if it stays close in laning phase, it'll get further apart during the team fights, right? Like, that's where you're going to see the increased coordination, the better shot calling, the better macro play. So that's what we want to see from Fnatic. For Beyond, I just want to see them keep it bloody.
Yeah, but the big thing for Fnatic here is that they don't have to face check, right? This is one of the big things about Maokai. Kino there trying to see if he can actually set up for a pick, and Hilly's like, I'm going to toss one of these bad boys in here. Oh, I found a Nautilus. I'm going to back away immediately. So it helps out Fnatic a little bit, even though they don't have vision control on topside river here, to slowly but surely establish themselves on this top half of the map. Beyond, though, actually in a pretty decent position here, because Hilly's the only one that can kind of play tank frontline here until Wonder can move in as he started to wander over.
Well, one of the big things I'm also noticing here, we've got level advantages in every role except AD carry for Fnatic. Remember that a level in League of Legends is worth like 300 to 500 gold in stats? So Fnatic is feeling pretty confident in their ability to take a fight. Hillsong's gonna fire off the ulti here at the very start. Rift Herald's gonna be taken low. Fnatic ready to start the fight off. Nice and easy. They've already secured the Herald. They're gonna get Kino too. Beyond just were not ready for this fight, and Fnatic gets the punish. Wako and Minji trying to get away, but Fnatic are not gonna let them get this recall. That is a 300 HP Kai'Sa. Only half health left on the Sylas too. They're gonna summon up the Herald to tank this. Bush is gonna come up, try to help these guys if he can. It's such a tough situation for Fnatic to try to be able to find this here, as Beyond are trying to get through. They're gonna fight back a little bit right now. Humanoid down to 300 HP, Beyond jumps in. Lakai here in the counter strike, but he won't get nothing. Fnatic's ready to strike back. Lakai is cut down by the 5-point strike as Wonder keeps the chase going. Kino's finally back in the picture, but the picture has already faded to black. Fnatic get the play.
Fnatic refuse to be denied groups. They want to make sure that they are planting themselves firmly in towards that 4-1 spot, but Beyond, it's just so unfortunate. Item difference, level difference, setup difference for Fnatic coming into that Rift Herald fight, and they get absolutely destroyed. Humanoid as well, even on the bottom side, TP's in to finish off a turret for himself.
It is snowballing out of control for Fnatic. The advantage they had in that fight between the levels, between the farm leads, the fact that they had the Maokai ulti already creeping through the perfect spot to drop it there in the river, beyond just they were never winning that engage.
No, I mean, even when you look at where Humanoid was positioned in the 3-play as well, he's just corralling 2 members of Beyond, gaming up to his top side, buying a whole heap of time, upsets in a perfect position, like who the hell is going to deal any damage to where the Aphelios is? And as you say, look, Humanoid on towards Wako, on towards Minji, the 2 carries that are on this team aren't dealing any damage.
Nope.
So you just get this slow work through of Fnatic as they deal with the front line and then go, thank you very much. We'll continue on towards this dive with the Rift Tower that we just picked up and make sure Beyond are not having a good time.
Yeah, it feels really bad for Beyond here because you're just trapped into this turret. You know you're gonna die. Honestly, Minji does a pretty good job just trying to create some chaos with a stolen Akali ultimate. Meanwhile, back on live, the Drake was taken by Fnatic. The Rift Herald fight meant that there was not a follow-up fight there for that one. But yeah, this fight just ended up not going Beyond's way. It's not a whole lot of surprise of anyone. Humanoid was able to go in with that flash 5-point strike to finish off the kill.
Yeah, there's no place like home is what Beyond is saying. Unfortunately, they don't get to go home. And now Beyond, DK taking a little bit of a rough spot in this top side. You got pushing mid coming through for Fnatic as well. Even look at just the amount of wards that are littered all over this bot side jungle. Means that Razor can easily wander down into this bot side unspotted and just put pressure on towards Minji on this tier 2.
And Razork, man, on the grave, still has the level lead, still has a massive farm advantage. He's working on his second item. Husha still does not have his mythic completed. As you're gonna see Minji walking away from that one. Hillsong throwing out the ulti. They lock down Husha. They're not interested in diving a Sejuani. They're just buying enough time to take that turret out. Now the fight. Goodbye, Minji. You didn't even need to waste that flash, buddy. That one was signed already. As Kino and Wako have to try to get away, but Humanoid wants some more. Gets hit with the Acathian Rain, but now all it does is set up Kino to be yet another death. Fnatic are taking complete control.
And this is the Fnatic that had that miracle run to get them to the World Championship. They came into Week 8 Super Week with a 10% of scenarios where they could actually reach Worlds, and they played phenomenally. Now we're seeing them once more when the chips are down, stepping up huge. And once more, it's Humanoid Razor controlling the side lanes. Healy showing up with the Maokai, and Beyond are just left spinning with how quickly Fnatic are playing this.
I mean, there's a reason Fnatic is one of those orgs that's had so many international appearances, going back all the way to the Season 1 championship victory. They were one of the squads, one of the only Western squads, I think, in the last 10 years to actually make it to World Finals back there when they had to go up against IG in 2018. But this is a squad that you cannot underestimate. This is a squad that knows how to get these wins. And you can see one of the conversations that has been had about these guys, and even from the mouths of their own players, is, hey, we might not be the most coordinated in team fights. We might make some errors, but our individual level is so high, and that's a huge strength. Those individual strengths are showing up massively with the advantages in the lane matchups, with just those individual edges they've been able to hone for themselves.
Yeah, and especially when you look at guys like Razork as well, who's just been dictating the pace of this entire game. Massive CS lead, now with the Gore Drinker completed. Great item for Graves, especially when you look at the amount of melee champions that are here for Beyond. Yeah. It's going to be so difficult to kill Razork, and he knows it. He's just like, cool, let me just face tank this, because what the hell are you going to do about it?
Okay, Razork will just dash back out of the way of the Everfrost there. Husha does have his first item completed. It was not the Mythic. He's going for the Warmog's Rush after building Bombies to fulfill the HP requirement. I like this if you're up against a team that's got a lot of poke, if you're up against a situation where you're going to constantly get chipped down and chunked down. The thing is, like, I don't know how much of a chance you're going to get to use that against this Fnatic squad, because they just kind of want to go in. Bottom side, though, Wonder versus Lakai. The Jax is feeling good in this split push situation, and that's about the only light shining in the darkness here for Beyond.
Yeah, I think for Fnatic, I like what they're trying to do, though, right? Wonder is just like, hey, I'll match on sides. Let's push in, though, get vision control, and see if we can get this mid lane turret down, because that's the last little bit of a bane of their existence for them right now. What? They're all in?
Okay, Razork's here on the front. They missed the Husha ulti, but they catch Razork out. Nicely done. Oh, Kino dies at the very end to Upset's long-range damage, but a teleport's coming in the bottom lane, and we'll see if they can find a punish on Lakai. Wonder locking him down here with the Everfrost, throws out the ulti, but the flash over the wall will keep Jax in good enough shape for now. He'll try to strike back, fight back, won't matter. Humanoid gets the kill.
Nice TP from Humanoid. That could have been a disaster for Fnatic. Overextended in towards the top side jungle, but Humanoid gets one back, and now Upset gets one back, and Humanoid now TP and bot will net themselves a second one, even getting that mid lane turret as well. Now they can start to put their attention in towards looking at Baron, looking at the Dragon. That's in 50 seconds time, and starting to try to stack these up. Like, Razork way overextends here, right? You've got 4 members of Beyond Gaming that are all here. They have no real vision as to where they're set up, and he dashes in, so immediately they go in. Bit of a misflash as well, it feels like, going directly in towards Kino rather than trying to get away, but Beyond happily take it, but Upset, just with the Inferno Molt over the wall, managed to pip one back.
That was a limit testing flash 100%. That's the I'm Chad Graves and I'm a full item ahead and it's a gore drinker. I'm gonna flash in and try to take one of you with me. It doesn't end up working out. He finally gets his man here a couple minutes later. And unfortunately for Beyond, there's 10 seconds left on the Drake timer. So Fnatic with that kill, the world is theirs.
I mean, do you need Drake when there's a Baron? I mean, no jungle for push, or sorry, no support here for Kino. Means that it's going to be very difficult for Beyond to try and contest this, and Fnatic kind of know it. Lee guy is very overextended. He might actually need to TP out of this one.
Oh boy, Beyond are pressed in a very hard situation right now because Fnatic are already on the Baron. Humanoid's going after the Jax. This Akali, 5-2-2, trying to 1v1 this champion just ain't gonna work. Humanoid kills him through Counter-Strike underneath the turret. That's about as good as you can do it. As Wonder tries to keep everybody else zoned away. Husha wants to go into the pit, try to steal it away. It's gonna be stolen! Husha gets the Baron!
And they're looking for Humanoid as well. Kino is on the hunt. Fnatic trying to make sure they can save Humanoid from the encroaching disaster. But look at where Beyond are moving to. They may not have a jungler, but they're moving down towards this dragon to make sure that Fnatic can't try and steal that one away as well.
That was massive. You gotta go for those in a game where you're 8,000 gold down. You can't just give them the Baron or they're gonna run you over. Yeah, you got about a 5% chance of stealing it, but it looks like Husha just made it happen.
And for Fnatic, it's so difficult for them to actually siege up without something like the Baron buff. They're super short range. They don't really get to try and attack the turret. So not having access to that is going to be a bit of a disaster. And look, giving up a second dragon to Fnatic ain't going to be too much. You still got another 5 to 10 minutes before that really becomes relevant. And maybe you can get that third item on towards your Kai'Sa. Maybe the Silas can get up towards his third as well. But Humanoid absolutely destroying VK in this side. Gets the perfect execution, gets the auto attack, and manages to just walk on out easy as you like.
And there was never a moment in that rundown where Jax turned around or tried to fight. That was a full retreat, and Humanoid still got him. Then let's watch the smite here. Boom, instant. I saw 1147, and then I saw it gone.
Yeah. Immediately. It looked like just there was a bit of burst damage that actually came through from Fnatic's side and gave that edge over towards Husha. Just manages to get the smite before he dies, and now that's going to buy Beyond so much time here. Fnatic still will be able to push in some of these waves, start to get the vision in towards Beyond's side of the map, but it's so hard now for Fnatic to actually try and close this one out. It feels like you're going to be waiting for the likes of the Baron to come back up, looking at this dragon in form in its time, and that buys a bit more space for Beyond.
Well, that gold graph is looking like an ocean of red, though, my friend. Beyond still have an incredible mountain to climb if they want to try to take out Fnatic and throw this group into chaos. Fnatic might just lose their support here. Nice catch from Husha there with the ulti accuracy. They would have rather had Razork, but they'll take Hilly.
Hey, I mean, look, if you got to get yourself out of the Mariana Trench, well, that's definitely one way to start it, and it's looking pretty good. Yeah. I mean, look, the Mariana bench coming through right now for Beyond Gaming to try and get out of this, but it's a good start. Now you can look towards this mid lane turret. You have the Baron up creeps here as well. There's still these objective bounties to try and collect too, so every little going to help here for Beyond.
Okay, Beyond, still grouped up as a team. They know that Humanoid is so fed that if anybody gets caught out alone, it doesn't matter if it's Minji, it doesn't matter if it's Lee Kai, they're just dead, 100%. So there's power in numbers here for Beyond Game.
Yeah, and they're about to use those numbers. Moving up towards this top side, they'll make sure that Lee Kai gets at least one here for themselves. Humanoid is sticking around, though, and he's waiting for these members to disappear so he can jump onto the Jax.
This is what I'm talking about, man. If you leave somebody behind, you're leaving them for the wolves. and Humanoid is the one who will lead the way. Wonder coming up behind him to provide a little bit of extra knockdown. There comes that Shuriken flip. Goodness gracious, that thing does as much damage as an ulti. Razork goes for the kill. Likai barely gets away. Push is going to be punished now, though, as everybody from Fnatic joins the party, and Humanoid's the one getting gifted.
Pusha dies for the sins of his teammates. Likai sticks that little bit too long on that top side and ends up getting caught out. Nicely done by Humanoid, though. The patience coming through to make sure he could get that pick. Minji on this bottom side, though, trying to see if he can push in, but Humanoid should be able to get there to make sure they can't get another tower, and it's actually going to be Fnatic who get the tier 2 out of that one.
Fnatic feeling good about it. We've got about 2 minutes before both of our neutral objectives are back on the map. This is where I'm expecting to see everybody sort of start those recalls, grab the control wards, get ready for the setup. I'm interested how they're going to play around these.
Yeah, especially when you look towards upset, right? So close to his Infinity Edge. That's where this Aphelios really does come online, and he's going to be seeing if he can grab a little bit more underneath his belt before this dragon comes up. Beyond, though, looking for the pick. I don't know if they can really get much done here. Humanoid playing safely underneath his tower, denying the wave actually hitting the tower, means they can't look for the dive before the rest of Fnatic come back out onto the map.
It's so hard to dive Akali in the first place through the smoke. Like, the champion is so elusive. There won't be anything to find here for Beyond. Towers, a huge part of this game as well. 5-1 in favor of Fnatic, who have just had control over the Rift for such a long time.
I'm trying to figure out what Beyond's game plan is here, because it feels like you kind of do need to fight Fnatic, but it's so hard. They're going to be so incredibly strong coming into this. Like, the resets are about to come through. I feel like Upset will more than likely have that Infinity Edge completed, and maybe you could try and leave DK on this top side to keep pushing, but, I mean, Wonder's able to clear out these waves fairly handily at this stage. You don't really have the damage to just ignore him, so now you kind of are forced as Beyond Gaming to try and fight for this next objective, but I just don't see a world where, unless you find a pick beforehand, you can really make anything happen.
Well, it's a hard situation to navigate for Beyond Gaming. The other problem, these buffs are pretty closely synced in the time that they spawn, but they're just desynced enough that if Beyond doesn't challenge Fnatic, they can burst down the dragon instantly and rotate over to the Baron in time that Beyond wouldn't be able to try to take it as some sort of a response.
Yeah, and Fnatic have even done a really good job of just setting up the waves, right? You can see Minji's got to clear that bot side wave, so you buy space now for Fnatic to push in mid, get control over both the bottom side of the map and on the top side so they can go for that player. Just talk about Flowers, so overall, Fnatic just in a great spot here, and again, Beyond not really in a position to look for the picks.
Yep.
And now their backs are against the wall. What is the decision? Looks like they're not even going to try and contest the dragon. They're like, hey, look, we're going to look for the top tier 2 instead. Try and position for Baron and just give up this third dragon.
And you can see Razork just soloing the dragon himself. It's very easy for a 3-item Graves to take care of that one. The rest of Fnatic just going to run interference, keep Beyond in their sights, mark these guys, figure out where everybody is, make sure they're not up to anything tricky. Pusha jumps in, the stun on Humanoid underneath the turret, but it doesn't matter. Akali's got the smoke. She just walks out of it. That was Beyond's big engage mechanism, and Humanoid lost 15% HP. It bought time for Razork to get the Drake. Fnatic are loving this.
Even bought space for Wonder to move up to that top side to protect. Now the TP behind.
Oh, Humanoid getting caught here, though. Stasis is going to protect him, and now the Aphelios ulti immediately turns the fight in the favor of Fnatic. It's already 2 down, already 3 down. Pusha trying to stand and fight, but Wonder's looking to find even more. Domination for Humanoid, domination for Fnatic, and an absolute wash of a fight as Likai's the only one who can get himself away. Humanoid still chasing after him here as Fnatic will head over to Baron.
Beyond are gone out of this game quickly. Moving up now towards that top side. Fnatic will get Baron. Wonder going to take the mid tier 2. That's all outer turrets now gone. And with the Baron picked up, this Red Bull Baron power play is going to be fairly sizable for Fnatic if it doesn't just end the game outright.
I would expect it to probably just be the end of the game. You put the importance earlier on how much Fnatic needs this Baron to be able to siege, how much that immunity to the spells is going to matter. And now, this is actually an even worse scenario for Beyond, because now you've got 50 seconds of a 5v4. They're already recalling. They're already ready to push with this Baron. It's looking like trouble, my friend.
Yeah, Humanoid just gets to clear out this wave. He has the TP as well, so we can join in at any point in time. Wonder sticking around just a little bit because I know there's a lot of Beyond Gaming members in the area. How big of a gamer can Humanoid be, though? Because I don't know if Beyond are going to go for much, but he needs to outplay this massively with that L-power.
No, he knows he's fine. He's just going to walk away, collects the little bit of a health pack from Gromp there by getting the last hit on it. Razor goes over the wall. He's 1v2, but he don't even care. He goes in for the extra damage. Kino won't die just yet, but Humanoid's there to make sure that the hope dies with them. Beyond, just as they're about to get their 5th man back, the 4th man dies.
And it's the Rabadon Death Cap that was picked up for Humanoid on that reset as well. So this Akali has become an even bigger pain. Fnatic now, all members on the bottom side, they're going to make sure they can punish Beyond for thinking they could step into their territory.
Fnatic is ready to walk it in bottom lane. That turret is just gone. It folds like paper. Fnatic with a 5 versus 4. They're ready to siege up the Nexus turrets and take them down. Wako knocked right back into his fountain here as the first Nexus turret falls, and Fnatic will continue moving forward. They zone Lee Kai away there with the power of the Everfrost. Everybody on Fnatic still full HP. They've got another wave pushing up mid. They're going to Baron enchant that one for a little bit, but now bottom lane's ready to go once more. Another wave that Beyond has to try and survive. They are 12,000 gold behind. Whenever Fnatic decides to go for this, you have to think it's going to be a win. There goes your Maokai ulti. Stasis is trying to be used. Humanoid's already got 1. They're going to find a second. Minji and Kino are down. Humanoid barely keeping himself alive as Lee Kai tries to finish him off. Humanoid's got 200 HP, but that's 200 too much if you're Beyond Gaming. Lee Kai continues trying to defend underneath the turret, but that turret's not going to be able to keep him alive forever. He's still got a little bit left in the tank, but Fnatic are taking over the entire base. 35 seconds on Minji, 15 on Kino. Hillsong popping a stopwatch now as well. Upset goes in for the AD carry on AD carry combat, and it's going to go his way every time. That will do it. Beyond tried, but Fnatic is back in form after yesterday's loss, and they are here to keep this group in their control. They take the win.
Fnatic move to 4-1 and separate themselves from the masses, making sure there will be no 3-2 hijinks today. Fnatic make sure they're able to solidify that one, and in spectacular fashion as well. 23-7, Fnatic looking strong once more.
I said their fate was still in their hands. They were one of the only 2 teams that was allowed to have that reality going into this final day of groups. And man, they took control massively. The individual skill of the players just outclassing their opponents in every lane.
Yeah, fate was in their hands and they clapped. Like absolutely bodying